Hello, Anna here. So I wanted to have a little chat with you about the rare earth reactions ink pads. Now, these are really special ink pad. They are not only a dye based ink pad, but they're also a pigment, so they're like a fusion of the two, so that you get the benefits of the both. You get the benefit of the dye that gives you that lovely intense colour, and then the pigment, which means that you can heat emboss with these, you can do some really clever techniques with them. They also react with water. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just kind of play with them and show you a few little things that you can do with these. These will also give you a slightly oxidized effect when you hit them with water. So they will go paler, they will go more chalky, and give you some really fun looks to your cards. So let's get some ink onto my blending tool. So you can see I'm just picking the colour up. I'm going to go in, and at the moment I'm using Pink Petal. Now this is one of the newer pads that we've brought out. So you've got this lovely pink colour. I'm going to blend all the way in. Get plenty of colour on there. Now because these are sort of semi-opaque with the pigment in there, you can layer colours rather than blend the colours. So one colour will layer over the other. Getting that lovely pink in there. I've got. Right, so I'll switch and we'll do some vanilla. You can use these with your brushes, but I would recommend using a sponge rather than a brush, because with the pigment it does tend to make the bristles clog a little bit and a little bit sticky, so you'll get a nice soft blend, but it won't be as soft as using a blending sponge. These are new sponges, so the colour's not saturated into them, and I do recommend keeping these sponges separate from your dye ink pad sponges, because obviously that pigment's in there and it will go onto your other pads. So you keep a set for your blending inks and keep a set for your reactions. We'll just do one section of this card because it is rather a large card, so it'll take me a long time to blend the colour onto it. And I'm just using a mixed media cardstock here, so it's got a slight texture to it. It's quite nice. So, see where I'm building the colour, it's starting to cover that pink. You'll get a little bit, because it is semi-opaque, it's not totally opaque, so you will get some of that other colour peeking through, but it won't blend like a dye ink pad would blend. You're getting a nice sort of peachy colour blend there. Let's add a little bit of the Wisteria Wonder. I'm trying to get plenty of pigment into the sponge, because with these being new sponges, you want your sponge, the more you use them, the more saturated they become with the colour and the better they will work. You can see that's a lovely soft pretty purple. Let's get some more of that colour on there. You can keep going back with these and keep going over again and again until you get the depth that you want. Right, so that's them blended. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just spray some water onto my hand and just flick some water on there. Just so that I can show you how they react with the water. Let that sit just a second. And then I'm going to lift it off with a dry cloth, and you can see that you've got a reaction there where it's lifted the pigment out. Now another thing you can do is I've got a little stencil, pop that over the top. I'm going to actually use a baby wipe, and this is quite a wet baby wipe actually, but you could use a damp cloth, either way would work, and I'm just going to dab that in to lift some of that colour out. Take that all the way down there. Now lift that off, and then I'm going to just go in and dab that out, and it's quite subtle, but you'll see you've started to get a reaction. The more I went over that, the more that would work. So I could do that, and then I could go in and spray with the water, let that react. And again, lift that out. The longer you leave the water on, the more it will react. So you're getting like that really subtle pattern in the ink. So you can see there are butterflies in there now. So you can also paint with these, so I can squish them out onto my mat. Give it a little spritz with water. And normally I would use a paintbrush, but I've lost it. Here we are. So you could just use these just like a normal ink. Brush that on. So you get that lovely soft pastel effect with these particular colours. And I can also, if I just dry my stencil quickly, pop that on. Then what we'll do is and I would normally make sure that everything's dry, and then I can just go in and do sort of ink over the top with the blending tool and add some extra butterflies on there. So that's just a few of the ways that you can use the Reactions ink pads.